Uh, let's get started. I am really excited to have him, and it's been a bit of a challenge. He is an extremely busy guy, and he's the operations manager for the Sherco Solar. Now, being an XL employee, I knew Sherco as a coal plant. I used to help buy the scrapers for it, and so it's changing a lot. I think this is Xcel Energy's first utility scale solar farm. And it's just really exciting to have Luke with us. Luke, anything else that you want to share about your personal side of your career and stuff? Am I right in that you joined at this position about in 2024?
Yeah, it was March of 24. So I've been on the renewable side of Xcel since about a year and a half now, just under a year and a half.
Yeah, it's I don't know if any of you have ever been up there, but it's a huge plant. But so I'm anxious to hear how things have changed now. So Luke, go ahead. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Luke Mullis, I'm the operations site manager for Sherco Solar 1, 2, and 3. Do a little presentation to kind of just the updates of the Sherco Solar project and kind of where we're at today and kind of where we're headed. So make sure my screen works here.
And I think for questions, we'll just let Luke do his presentation, and then at the end, we'll open it up to questions.
All right. So Sherco Solar 1, 2, and 3 is a direct replacement for the Gentai line, the Sherco 2 coal plant that shut down in December 31st of 2023. So Sherco Solar 1, 2, and 3 is 710 megawatts AC to the grid. The next slide that I'll get to here, we'll kind of break it down a little bit. So as you can see here on the screen, Sherco Solar 1 is this section here as labeled. Sherco Solar 2 is down here. Some of that farm is on the County Road 25, and then you can see it along Highway 10 as you drive through Becker. And then Sherco Solar 3 is up here, kind of in the northwest corner of the screen. The light blue areas and the dark blue areas are Sherco Solar 3. It's a little bit more broken up than Sherco Solar 1 and 2, but feeds all the same. And Sherco Solar 3's tie back to the substation actually runs underground here, follows this pink line, comes back, follows along here, and then ties back into the substation that we call Sherco Solar West. So Sherco Solar 3 doesn't have its own substation on site. It's tied into the Sherco Solar 1 substation, and Sherco Solar 2 substation is up here in the corner, right here. And then we tie both of those substations back into the Sherburne County generating facilities generation switchyard. Details of Sherco Solar sites. Sherco Solar 1 is 525,000 odd modules, 63 inverters, 1,185 LBDs or load break disconnects, which is what collects all the strings of the solar panels and feeds them back to the inverter. There's 6,972 individual trackers, a little over 1,400 acres of pollinator habitat, and its nameplate rating is 222 megawatts, 0.92 megawatts AC to the grid. And numbers as kind of listed here on the screen, where as you go on Sherco Solar 2, a little bit more modules, a few more inverters. As the nameplate for that, Sherco Solar 2 is 237.08 megawatts AC. Sherco Solar 3, 552,000 odd modules, 71 inverters. A few more trackers as the nameplate is listed at 250.00 megawatts AC. Interesting tidbit about Sherco Solar projects is that we planted a pollinator habitat mix of vegetation, which is we worked with the state to plant that prairie restoration to bring back the prairie to the kind of central Minnesota area It's what was on the ground, was in the area before, we took over and started industrializing and making it more of a area for humans to live, where 300-400 years ago would have been a prairie that was there before we started putting agriculture on there. So it's a kind of a good picture of Sherco Solar 1 from the far northwest corner of the site, looking back towards the coal plant. You can see in the background, this is shot from one of our drones, but you can kind of tell a little bit more of the size of just Sherco Solar 1 itself. It's what is that, 1,400 odd acres that we control and have land leased. We do own a little bit of that land where our substation sits and a couple different things, but 90% or give or take is leased land from the local landowners who were previously growing crops on this property. Here's a picture of our inverters at Sherco Solar 1, 2, and 3. We went with a SMA central inverter. They're 4.2 megawatts a piece AC, maximum rated. So all of your panels will feed back to an LBD, load break disconnect. And then there's between 17 to 21 LBDs that feed each inverter. The actual inverter portion of our inverter that takes AC to DC is this white box back here on the skid. Comes into the IGBTs or power stacks, gets converted to AC at 630 volts, goes to our step-up transformer, converts it to 34.5 kV, and then it goes into our switch gear here at the gray box at the end of the inverter. And then out of the inverter, the MV goes underground about 4 feet in the ground in depth, and it runs back to our substation. And on our circuits, or feeders as we call them, there's anywhere from 5 inverters to 7 inverters per circuit, and a total of 10 circuits or feeders total at Sherco Solar 1. And Sherco Solar 2 and 3 also have 10 feeders, 2 main power transformers into a switch yard. We're one of the first utilities in the country to deploy a drone in the box program. The drones are fully autonomous, can be launched from anywhere in the US as long as you have your 107 license through the FAA. They're a DJI Matrix drone. They'll go up. They have thermal capabilities is the main reason for us having them out on site. They're able to fly the site, full site scans once a month with thermal imagery. We upload them back to the cloud here with Starlink, and then an AI will review the data that is sent back via the drone, and then we'll be able to determine whether or not we have thermal anomalies or damage to our panels based on the drone flights. There's 4 drones within Sherco Solar 1, 3 drones within Sherco Solar 2, and 6 drones in Sherco Solar 3 due to the spacing and the spread out of the site itself. These have been active since about April of this year in Sherco Solar 1. We've flown all 63 power blocks. We have been able to identify a couple different issues with our modules after construction, and we'll be working with our panel manufacturer, Jinko, to get those replaced. So kind of a snippet here of some of the flights that we've done already. So your original image is on the left without the thermal detection. So you can see, you can't tell there's anything going on or wrong with the panels here. But if you look on your right, the AI scan and imagery will be able to detect each individual panel as seen out in the field. And then it'll tell you based on temperature differentials and coefficients whether or not you have an issue going on with one of your panels. As you can see here, there is an issue with 1/3 of this panel here with a little red kind of shape. More than likely a junction box on the back side of the panel that's failed. And it's causing the panel to heat up due to it's not being able to release the power out back to the LVD. I'm sure most of you, if you've paid attention to the news in the last 2-3 weeks, a month or so, we're using sheep at Sherco Solar 1 for our vegetation management program. There's roughly about 1,200 sheep on site right now, grazing. 400 sheep came to site in early May, ready to lamb. So a month after the sheep were on site, we had about 800, 900 sheep, so 400 adults, and then 400 to 500 lambs came from those 400 adult sheep. They roughly, with the amount of sheep we have on site now, right around 1,000 to 1,200. The sheep are able to clear just under 10 acres every 2 days, eating all the green vegetation down, kind of towards 3 to 4 inches off the ground. And then we have our contractor, Minnesota Native Landscapes, out there, and they're actively moving them around, ensuring that they don't graze it too far down and that the sheep are staying healthy and have enough food to eat and water to drink. So Sherco Solar 1 and 2, or Sherco Solar 1, 2, and 3. Sherco Solar 2 is nearing completion. About 70% of the site is energized and test energy is being commenced. Sherco Solar 3 is in full swing with construction. All activities are being performed. We have tracker pile pounding, digging and pouring inverter concrete vaults, doing MV and DC trenching, mass site grading, and kind of everything that goes into building a solar site. And the best way, I guess, to explain how you build a solar site is it's an assembly line where the people move and the equipment is stationary. Our EPC contractor for Sherco Solar, all of our projects, is Blattner. So if you would come out and see the site during construction, you would see probably about 300 employees going around, where each of them has a very specific task of doing. In the beginning, you have a crew that runs like a steel pile pounder, and they are based on GPS coordinates loaded into the machine. The operator will drive the pile pounder to where the next pile is. It will pick it up, center it, vertically align it, and then pound it into the ground to a predetermined height that's set for that GPS coordinate on that pile. And then, and so on and so forth. And after all the pile are pounded, they'll install kind of the bearing housing assemblies, which hold the torque tubes up. Once the torque tubes are installed, they'll come around and they'll hang modules. On a good day, when Blattner had kind of perfect weather and all their crews were hitting on all the cylinders, they were doing roughly 9,000 to 10,000 modules per day with a crew. Their crews are 5 guys or seven guys, and there was 7 crews out in the field. So they're doing about 1,500 panels per crew per day, and on a 10-hour day. So they're moving right along. They don't slow down very much. Some other stuff that we've been working on at Sherco Solar is we've actually put up a kind of a solar exhibit at the Sherburne County Government Center, informing the community about renewable energy and renewable energy transition that we're working on as Xcel Energy as a company. It's featuring a solar panel, as you can see on the screen, a couple different other items that we're working on in the Sherco Solar area, the Sherco coal plant area. Future updates that will be included at the Sherburne County Government Center include some Minnesota Energy connection lines and other project developments that are going on in the area. Some good project pictures. So this is all internal drone flights that we've taken during construction or post-construction of Sherco Solar 1 or Sherco Solar 2. So as you can see, kind of the expanse of panels up in the area. In the background here is the substation for Sherco Solar 1 and Sherco Solar 2, or Sherco Solar 3, sorry. And then also that laydown yard that we utilize during construction. Again, another picture. As you can see, these cutouts are where the inverters are placed. That's 63 inverters at Sherco 1. Everything for DC. All the collection cables for the DC from the LVDs are above ground. We have an above ground DC cab system that runs along the trackers east to west. And then when it hits a transition, it'll transition to DC underground that gets fed into that inverter vault here. Again, some more pictures, some more aerial pictures that we have from the site. That's kind of the end of what I have prepared. I think there would be a lot of questions, so I tried to save a good amount of time for it. Other projects that we're working on in the area that I can share about is we have one battery project approved It's a 300 megawatt lithium ion battery. And then we also are working on a Form Energy's long duration energy storage battery. It's a 10 megawatt, 100-hour battery that we're installing near the Sherburne County coal plant. Not able to include some of that stuff in the slides due to some regulatory issues that were regulatory things that we have to watch out for before we share that with the public.
Luke, is that Form battery operational yet, or is that you're just working on it, or?
Yeah, we're expecting to go commercial with that, I think sometime in 2027.
Okay.
It's under construction right now. We're working through the construction phases right now.
And I understand also GRE had one of those. Do you know if theirs is operational yet?
I think most of the Form Energy's batteries that are going to get built are still in the construction phase. I don't believe any of them are complete and operational yet.
Okay, all right. Well, if people want to just raise their hand or something, that would be great. And then we can go from there. And Kim, you got the first question.
All right, great. Hey, thanks a lot, Luke. It's really awesome. So excited to hear about all this. I have a couple of quick questions on just to sort of put this in perspective. By the way, my name's Kim Havey. I've worked in sustainability for quite a while, most recently at the city of Minneapolis, and I'm a board member with MRES. And I'm curious, this is any one of these, Sherco 1, 2, or 3, they're bigger than anything else that's ever been built in Minnesota, right?
Correct.
What what so the second biggest is like 100 megawatts, right?
Correct. Yep. That's
Yeah,
up in, I think it's North Star Solar up towards North Branch or
yeah,
something like that in that area.
right. Yeah. Yeah, that was like 100 megawatts. So this is really, really amazingly. And did you have to were you using infrastructure that was already in place as a result of the Sherco coal plant transition and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we're utilizing the point of interconnect for the inter, interconnect rights. So we're taking all of the 710 megawatts of coal generation, and that's being directly replaced with the Sherco Solar 1, 2, and 3 projects. So our Sherco Solar 1, 2, and 3, all of them added up equals 710 megawatts AC to the grid once they're all complete. So I could go a little bit more into depth on that. So Sherco Solar 1 went commercial in October of 2024. Sherco Solar 2 has an expected commercial date of October 31st of 2025. And Sherco Solar 3 has a commercial date expected of August of 2026.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I may have some more other, we'll have probably some other questions, but I'll let some other folks
Yeah,
ask it as
yeah,
well.
sounds
Thanks.
good. If anybody wants me to go back to different slides or anything, please let me know and I'll move around wherever you guys want to go.
Luke, one of the questions that people often come up with is, I mean, do you guys have a cleaning system for the panels, or is there enough rain to keep them clean, or?
Yeah, so we have 8 meteorological stations on site. We call them MET stations for short. They're spaced out sporadically across the Sherco Solar 1, 2, and 3. Each Sherco 1 has 8 MET stations, Sherco 2 has 8 MET stations, and then Sherco 3 has 12 MET stations. And along with those MET stations, you can actually see right here in this lower corner of the picture, this is your MET station, the kind of lower left-hand corner. There's a MET station here, and then there's 2 production pile that we've wired into what we call our soiling station. So one of them is a dirty module, and one of them is a clean module. And once a month, our solar techs will go out, they'll clean the clean module, and then we're able to see what the energy production loss is from the clean module to the dirty module. And that will help us determine whether or not we need to clean the site. We don't expect to ever have to clean Sherco Solar 1, 2, or 3 with just the amount of annual precipitation we get in the snow, being a good cleaner of the modules. So we haven't seen any really production loss looking at the MET stations since we've gone commercial back in October. And like I said, we don't expect to have to clean clean the panels unless there's a environmental event that would require us to go out and say they were really dusty, got rained on, and then they got really dusty and had some mud caked on the panels. But we don't right now. Like I said, expect to have to clean the site.
Okay. Pat, go ahead.
Hi. One of the questions that is often raised to us is the end of cycle. Do you guys already have a plan for the recycling of these modules, say in 20, 25 years, or even possibly the replacement, pulling off these modules, putting other ones on the racking? Or I'm wondering what your end of cycle plan is.
Yeah, so we've filed kind of our decommissioning or deconstruction plan. There's a number of recyclers out there in the utility industry that do recycle panels. Talked to a few of them, and we're still working through some of those processes of what we're going to need, what we have to do, and kind of what company we would go with. But the plan is to work with one of those panel manufacturers or panel recyclers to recycle the panels back to the aluminum frames, the silicone, the glass, and put everything and reuse it, recycle it back to either a new panel or something else. But we're still working through a few of those contracts to figure out kind of where to go with it and who to use to ensure we do the right thing for the environment.
Brenda put in a question. What about snow? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so snow, our panels tilt. We have Next trackers. Our panels tilt 60 degrees to the east and 60 degrees to the west. So when it snows, the biggest problem you would have is if it snows during the day, and the panels are flat or near flat, where the snow can't slough off the panels. Our control system has a snow clean stow method where you can select it and it will tilt the panels to the nearest 60-degree tilt, and it would slough that snow off. With the limited snow we got last year and a couple other weather events we had, the panels do warm up quite a bit, and they're able to melt that snow off the panel, as long as the sun is hitting them, obviously. But we would normally be able to. Last winter, I don't think we had snow on our panels for more than 24 hours at most after a snow event. So yeah, the panels do a great job with our high angle of tilt, being able to slough that snow off and not have issues with it.
Luke, I got a question. We got another person waiting, but I just wanted to ask, in the investor-owned community of utilities in the US, is Sherco one of the biggest plants out there, or what?
We're definitely one of the larger solar installations. I know there's a few bigger solar installations out there, panel count wise, megawatt wise. There's so many solar sites getting built right now, it's kind of hard to keep track. So I can't tell you with absolute certainty, but we are definitely, once Sherco Solar 1, 2, and 3 are built, we'll be one of the larger ones in the country for total megawatt output to the grid.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's a lot of panels. And just along with that, is there any plans to add more panels in this area to feed, the plant and the transformers?
Yeah, we're always looking for, more opportunities and what the customer needs for building, potentially more solar sites in this region and in other technologies for power generation.
Yeah, I was asking just because of what everybody's talking about nowadays is the data centers and the immense amount of power they need. So
yeah.
Pete, go ahead, please.
Okay, two questions. One is the difference in power generation on a cloudy day versus a very sunny day. Second question is, what is the role of sheeps amid the panels? And are there any other agricultural crops that can be grown among the panels?
Can you repeat your first question again?
Oh, what's the difference in power generation between a cloudy day and sunny day?
Yeah, so the Sherco Solar 1 needs about 840 watts per meter squared to make full nameplate on site. And that's on a monofacial side of the panel. So if you do get any reflectivity, from the ground or other panels. It drops it down kind of here and there. So on a sunny day, we're making full nameplate. Like early in May, and even April, we had some really sunny days in the spring. But most recently, we had a day where we made full 222.92 megawatts for just under 13 hours for the whole day. So we're, good sunny clear day with a little bit of wind to keep that thermal temperature down. We're able to make nameplate pretty easily. But even like a day like today, it was cloudy up in the area. As the clouds roll over, you do see that power generation increase and decrease as clouds roll over. But normally on any given day, if you have clouds in the area or just an overcast day, we're making somewhere in that 30 to 50% of the site nameplate. So somewhere like 120 to 130 megawatts and less. On a hard rain day or really like kind of stormy weather day where it's very overcast, very little sun's coming through the clouds, similar to the weather we've had the last week or so. I've seen the site make up to 40 to 60 megawatts, even with rain coming down and very overcast, no sun other than just kind of just the light that's coming through. So the site is fairly well overbuilt DC wise. We got about a 1.3 to 1 DC to AC ratio. So our site is fairly well overbuilt to be able to help us generate a little bit more AC power, even if we're at low light conditions. And then kind of going back to your second question on sheep, the sheep are out in the field to maintain the vegetation down below our panel drip edge, which is 30 inches off the ground. So panel drip edge is the lowest point of the panel to the ground. So when they're tilted 60 degrees to the east or 60 degrees to the west, the lowest point of the module at any given area should be 30 inches or higher. So the sheep will go out, graze all that grass down, and a lot of it's to do with worker safety out in the field and potential, if there's a fire or, fire mitigation to prevent that growth on the ground and the fuel if there were to ever be a grass fire. And it also supports Xcel Energy's sustainability efforts that we've been working towards as a company. The sheep do a very good job. They do better than a lawnmower, a lot better than a weed eater out there. They clear everything and anything out there that's green. They do not touch power cables. They don't jump up on anything like goats do. Obviously, if you do your research or look into anything, not many utilities with solar farms this large utilize sheep for vegetation management. I think some of the largest sites that use sheep are, 600 acres or less, and we're well over 1,000. But I will say that the sheep and MNL do a fantastic job at managing the vegetation, moving the sheep around, and ensuring that that the grass and the vegetation does not grow up and become an interference with the site equipment.
John Dunlop, did you have a question? I saw your hand for a minute. John, I can't hear you. I still can't hear
Another
you.
question. I have another question real quick, if I could, about the
Sure.
sheep.
Sure.
So the sheep, are they managed by a farm, and like what happens with the sheep? And are you going you know what I mean? Is this are they, used like other animals are for meat and part of a farm agriculture thing, or what's their what's their
Yeah,
story?
yeah. So MNL is in the kind of prairie restoration realm or that kind of space. So they provide seed, and they also provide vegetation management services. The sheep they have out on site for us here at Sherco are a haired sheep, so they don't have to get sheared. As you can kind of see, this sheep in the main foreground here is slowly shedding its hair off its back. So
What
if
is
you
it
walk
called?
around, what? Go ahead.
What is it called?
It's a hair sheep. it's not it doesn't have wool. It's hair.
Hair
So it
sheep.
sheds. Yeah, it sheds
Oh,
off. So this big thick layer of kind of heavier looking spot of the sheep actually will shed off, and they don't come out and shear it. So if you walk around in the array right now, you'll find a bunch of this hair out in the field. Sometimes it comes off in clumps, and sometimes it comes off in big pieces that look like carpet. So sometimes you might think there might be a dead sheep out there, and you walk up to it, and it's just a giant piece of hair that shed off of a sheep. Um, so
Look, anybody working on a recycling process there?
yeah, so
but I mean, are these animals were you in the farm industry, and that's what they do? I mean, obviously, if you bring in 400 and they made 500, I mean, does that happen every year? And then you have 2,000. Are you using these to do all the Sherco, or I'm just
yeah,
curious. And I have a good friend that does this actually down in Mankato area for some private solar developers that have bigger like community solar garden stuff, and just such a great idea. I just love it all around, you know. I had one other really quick question. Can you have any idea, like based on what you said you lease this land, what is a farmer making from an acre of lease that you're paying him? And what would he make if he grew corn or soybeans, for example? How does that compare?
yeah. I'm not in that space for Excel. I'm more on the operations side of it. So I'd have to talk to my siting and land rights folks for kind of how that works, for what their payments are. I have no idea. Um,
Okay.
try to keep on the operations side, and keep my head down as we're still building quite a bit of solar. So I can try to
Sure.
get back to you with an answer for that question. But to answer some of your questions on the sheep side, M&L has, I think, somewhere now in like the 7,500 to 10,000 acres of solar that they graze sheep on. They have a couple larger sheep farms. I think one's located out in Foley, and then the other one's located up in Alexandria. So they do move the sheep around quite a bit. And we're working with them to figure out if we can winter the sheep on our site or not, or if they have to go back to the farm. But we do plan on using sheep for our vegetation management for all three Sherco Solars that are in construction at the moment, or two of them that are in construction still, but one that's commercial. So we've had so far, we've only had sheep for a little over 2 months, but I've been thoroughly impressed with how well they're grazing the vegetation down and keeping the site looking very nice and tidy. So it's been a good
Awesome.
success, or at least a good experience for me so far.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
Lauren, go ahead.
My question is, have you had a reduced production because of the Canadian fires?
I have not seen it from our control systems, but I'm sure there is a slight effect, but I have not seen it for our site output on any given day that we have any Canadian wildfire smoke in our area.
Okay, that's great.
And then
Pete?
Pete, I've seen you had your
Oh.
hand up.
Yeah. Oh, we lost him.
No, I went the wrong way. So my question is, the Sherco 3 array seems to be somewhat spread out. Of course, that's based on land availability. Is there a benefit in spreading out an array in regards to resilience to passing clouds? And the other question is, what kind of costs are you looking at for a spread out array, wiring, installation of wiring, etc., versus say in most dense square compact array?
Yeah, in your perfect world, right, you'd want your array to be completely contained within one section of land. You don't have to travel across roads or, for far areas. It does increase your cost a little bit due to having to run your medium voltage cable, your 34.5 cable, back to wherever you're tying it back into. So there is a little bit of increased cost there. But we do try to keep it very, let's see if I can find it.
Yeah.
Can't see it great, but you want to try to keep it as tight as you can to get as many same blocks as you can. So when you're going out to design a solar site, a large one like Sherco, you have kind of your standard block design that they make that is, 3 tiers of trackers, 1 inverter, roughly 18 LBDs for Sherco per power block. Gets you like a DC input to the inverter right around like 4,800 kilowatts. So the more same you can make them, the better off you are. So you don't have to design different offshoots and different design blocks, and try to make sure that you're keeping roughly the same amount of DC feed to your inverters. So trying to keep it all together is the best way to do it. I also say, like, from experience now operating Sherco 1 since October, you do see clouds roll over, and it's quite surprising how fast you can see the outputs change. If you watch a very large cloud or multiple large clouds roll over, you can watch in real time inverters go from 3,600 kilowatts down to 1,800 kilowatts, then back up to 3,400 kilowatts, and back down to 1,800 again, then down to 1,400 and back up to 2,800. So the clouds cause quite a bit, but the overall output is pretty well levelized on an average. With just keeping them together, it's a little easier to predict what your outputs are going to be based on not having the site so far spread out, and you don't know how the wind direction is going to affect the clouds. But again, we're so overbuilt on our DC that we haven't had a ton of negative impacts for clouds that I've seen so far.
Okay, and you're 30% over. Is that somewhat typical?
It's pretty typical. I think most developers shoot for like a 1.1 to 1.3 DC to AC ratio. But so the way that Sherco 1, 2, and 3 were designed is that, so they're a 35-year plant life, and they're overbuilt so that once you hit your 35-year life, that as your panels degrade, that at year 35, as long as nothing drastic happens, you'd be able to hit the nameplate of the site in the last year of the solar farm without having to augment any panels into the site.
Oh, thank you.
Luke, what's the rating on each panel? Is it?
Yeah, so Sherco 1, 2, and 3 all have a little bit different panel wattage class. Sherco 1 averages between like a 560 to 570 watt per panel. Sherco 2 is like 570 to 580 watts per panel. And then Sherco 3 is like a 585 to 590 watt per panel. And that's just due to the technology for panel manufacturing, that it gets more efficient and better as the panels are manufactured. So I think like right now, Jinko, the manufacturer that we're using for the Sherco projects, I think, yeah, we're producing 590, 595 watt panels right now. And, a year and a half, 2 years ago, they were producing 560 watt panels. They're just getting more efficient and better at producing panels to increase their watt outputs.
Awesome. Go ahead, John.
You're on mute, John.
Sorry about that. I'm sure you mentioned, Luke, but it's east-west tracking, is that correct? And do they stow facing the ground for hail and so forth?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're working with Nextracker in a weather company. So our trackers will stow 60 degrees to the west, which is the prevailing wind direction in this region. So if you get hail that comes in or high winds that come in, our panels will stow facing 60 degrees to the west to prevent any damage. The reason for stowing to 60 degrees to the west when we get hail or any weather event is that you receive more of a glancing blow across the panel as more of a direct impact. The panels that we purchased from Jinko are rated to about 55 millimeter hail, which equates to about 2 inches. And their testing procedures that they do is they'll take basically an ice ball formed and fire it out of an air cannon, and they'll hit the panel in the same spot 10 times in a row. And that's roughly how they classify what the panels are rated for hail impact.
Anything else, John?
Well, Luke, back to the sheep. I'm just curious, does the firm just use temporary fencing to keep it in a particular portion of the solar array?
Yeah, they use temporary electrified fence to keep the sheep in specific areas throughout the site. They do have one guard dog on site right now to kind of keep any coyotes or any predators at bay.
Wow. That's a
Thank you.
really interesting part of the solar thing. Luke, on the pollinator, did you guys put in a pollinator garden mixture, or I mean, is it a special mixture that works well with sheep, or?
So the mixture of seeds that we put in at Sherco, it's like a 34 to a 37 different seed mixture of native pollinator plants. All the seed was sourced from less than 100-mile radius from the site. But it's a mixture of seeds and prairie grasses that would have been present in the area before it was turned into agriculture. So not necessarily for the sheep or anything, but we worked with the state of Minnesota and the DNR to develop the seed mix that was installed at the Sherco project.
Wow, interesting. I know the U's been working on a special project to, develop some seed too. Patrick, go ahead.
Luke, I was just, as you know, maybe you don't know, MRES has built 3 low-income community solar gardens. And I know Xcel had their wind source program where people could choose to have their energy credited to the windmills. Is that similar? Is that going to be similarly, like, is this going to be a giant community solar gardens, you think? Are they going to start selling off modules to restaurants and people's residential?
That's outside of my space. I couldn't tell you on that side. I can try to find an answer for you and get back to you, but I'm not sure on that one, Pat.
Okay, thanks. Oh, any problem getting Chinese solar modules, or they all landed already?
Most of our panels, well, all of our panels for Sherco Solar came from Vietnam. So we haven't had a ton of issues. All of the panels for Sherco 1 and 2 are here and installed. We expect module deliveries for Sherco 3 to start here. A lot of those modules are already stateside in dry vans. I think they're down in Florida. But they'll start deliveries here in the next month, give or take. So I don't think there's much, if any, of the modules left to be delivered for at least for Sherco 3.
Okay.
That's cool. Luke, I assume Xcel is also working on some big solar projects in Colorado and Texas and other places. Is that right?
Yeah, so right now we have one solar project out in Colorado being constructed, Rocky Mountain Solar. It's a 330 megawatt AC site. That one's in construction. It's supposed to go commercial operation end of this year. We have 2 solar sites down in Texas, New Mexico, Cunningham Solar and Plant X Solar. I can't remember the megawatt ratings on those sites. I think one's like about 75 megawatts and the other one's about 150 megawatts AC. And those are due to be commercial early next year. And then we do have a bunch of different solar sites in the pipeline that we're working on developing or kind of in the queue. So we do have quite a big build out here in the next few years as we would potentially get awards for building those sites in our operating regions.
Not to get into it too deep, but has the political climate changed Xcel's vision on solar going forward or not? Do you know?
No, from talking with our regulatory folks and a few different others, is that the political realm has not changed Xcel's goal to be carbon free by 2050.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions? Jay, you must have, is she still, yeah, Jay, do you have any questions? You must have something.
See, Pete's got one.
Okay, Pete, go for it.
Yeah, this is a question about hail. So we know about the testing for the glass side of the panel. Is there anything tested or published as far as hail resistance on the cell side of the panels? Just wondering.
What do you mean by like the half cells inside the module itself?
No, when the panel is tilted to the west because of hail, but there's a slight chance of one bouncing off the ground and hitting the backside of the panel. Are those tested in any way, or I guess I'm
I-
wondering, is there another failure mode opened up by tilting them up fairly high in the event
Yeah,
of hail on the glass side?
I'd have to look at the panel spec, but so the panels we have at Sherco 1, 2, and 3 have like it's a 3 millimeter or a 3.2 millimeter front glass, and then a rear glass is I think 2 millimeter thick. So they're bifacial panels at all three Sherco sites, and they have glass on both sides.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of us have panels that just have a sheet of plastic on the backside, so the cells are more exposed.
Yeah, no, they're full glass wrapped on both sides. So Jinko has a manufacturing facility down in Jacksonville, Florida. And I was lucky enough to go down and take a tour of their facility. And basically it's fully automated. They have the rear glass will sit on an assembly line, and then it gets moved through the site. So they do glass, and then there's a piece of EVA plastic, and then the half cells get put in there, and then another layer of EVA plastic, and then it's sandwiched on top with that top front glass, and then it's ran through an oven and kind of encased and sealed together, and then they strip all the kind of plastic that's the EVA that comes out the edges, and then they wrap it with the aluminum frame, and they connect all the wires, and away you go.
So do you anticipate additional production in the winter with reflection?
We saw it already last year that we had very low radiance for the day, but we are seeing higher production due to rear plane of array irradiance increasing the site output.
Okay. Go ahead, Tim.
Can you hear me okay?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. I just want to let everyone know that we're having a tour. They've invited us up to Sherco next Tuesday, the Climate Reality Project. We have room for a couple more. So if someone else would like to join us, please do. I apologize. My computer has a DNS problem, but I'm trying to get in.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Tim, there's about 18 of you guys coming up Tuesday next week.
Yeah, so far 18. I suppose we could take a couple more. So
yeah.
So just let me know if you want to.
Yeah, we've always I've given a lot of tours. So
yeah, I can only imagine the other question I wanted to ask you is are you guys working with any of the national labs, like out in Colorado or those?
I would have to ask the kind of the corporate development side of our company. I know we do work with UL and NREL and a couple different other labs, but I can't tell you for sure on all the ones that we utilize for the third-party testing.
Okay, and I got the technical question here. Are you using electric vehicles to go out and work on those panels?
No, it is an option for us right now, but we do not. I don't have any. We have 2 electric vehicles that we have on site for construction, but they're not all electric. We have quite a few gas vehicles out there still.
Yeah, I remember I bought some small little personnel carriers for the coal plant because the distances were so long that, a person would take an hour to walk out to one end of it. So it's a good way to get around. So any other questions from anybody? Peter, go ahead.
Yes, I lost my connection when you were answering my question. You got the answer to a sheep, but I missed the answer, if any, to the agricultural question.
We've talked to a few different companies that do like agrivoltaics inside the array. We haven't been able to, come to an agreement with any of those companies. I know there is a community solar garden in the area that does utilize agrivoltaics. So like for actual agriculture, where like tomatoes and that type of like fruits and veggies underneath the array. But we haven't had any groups that we're working with right now for that.
Okay. While you're at, another question, these solar panels, this solar farm, how much power, such as how many homes can be powered with this?
I believe it's around 150,000 homes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Luke, any work with the University of Minnesota at Morris?
I don't think so. I know we have a couple different research projects ongoing with the U of M, Twin Cities. They do have a fairly large research facility over by the Sherco Solar 2 site that I think Xcel's been working with them for a number of years.
The other thing I was wondering, you were talking about people, I mean, how many employees once this is all built and everything, will there be a staff of, 20 people or 200 or what will it be?
Yeah, right now the plan for the Sherco Solar sites is we'll have a full-time staff of about 12 solar techs and then myself, and maybe a few different operation support staff, but somewhere between that, like 12 to 20 people full-time for all 3 sites.
Okay. Yeah, that would seem to make sense with that type of product. So I'm really excited to hear what you guys end up doing with the battery, though. Those form batteries are just amazing from everything they're saying, at least.
Yeah.
Any other questions for anybody?
I had another question. I had to step away just for a minute, but I don't know if anyone asked about uh, security and cybersecurity related stuff. Did anyone talk about that at all yet?
No.
No. I can give you.
I'm just curious, I'm sure now with everything going on, I mean, is this something that goes through a lot more security? Is it fenced off? And also like from technology standpoint, how does this sort of work in regards to any of the other sort of threats you have? And is it a vulnerable thing or not? I don't know.
Yeah, Xcel has an entire kind of department or division that's all dedicated to cybersecurity, physical security, and kind of all things technology that way. All of our equipment on the site is air gapped. You have to basically log in through about 3 different jump servers and firewalls to get in to do any type of manipulation to the site. All of our Ethernet ports or anything that would make you able to connect to the internet or connect into the devices are locked with specific specialized locks for that. The site has an 8-foot tall fence all the way around it. All the locks are specific for kind of array or out in the environment lock that you need special keys to be able to open and close. So everything on site is completely disconnected from the outside world unless you're able to log in through our firewalls and our jump posts. It takes me 10 minutes just to log in through the site through all of our firewall security systems. So it's fairly well secured. We haven't had any issues yet. Like I said, Xcel has an entire division dedicated to cybersecurity, IT, and physical security that we keep an eye out there for.
Great. Yeah. I have one other question too. When you project forward, like, do you look at what obviously you do look at the cost per kilowatt hour generated. Do you have again, I'm looking for a comparison to like if you kept the coal plant running or one of the 2 running, what would be the comparison, say? Well, you will be because you'll have the coal plant running until like 2030 or so, right? And then so these will all be online before the other coal plant shuts down, right?
Correct. I
Yeah.
don't have the numbers kind of on that. I know it with production tax credits, PTCs, and other things that we're working with for some of the life of the site. It makes it extremely competitive with everything else for the energy types that we have out there sending power to the customers. It's not my area, I guess. Like I've kind of of expertise, so I'd have to kind of get back to you on some of that stuff regarding the, cost per megawatts and different things like that. That's more in our accounting department and our marketing side of our company.
Okay.
When
Thanks.
when Kim mentioned security, what about perimeter security and all that kind of stuff? Is there is there companies hired that, go around the fence, that kind of thing?
Yeah, myself and our techs are out there during the day, but we don't have any companies we pay to do, security watch or drive the site. We're out there enough. It's in a fairly well trafficked area, so we don't have anything like that on the books right now.
I was really impressed with that idea of using the drones. I mean, I know drones have been used to, analyze solar panels, but boy, what you guys are doing are like a step way beyond that, it seems like.
Yeah, it's gonna be it'll be cool to see it in about 6 months here when we've really got it up and running and going. So we're very excited to see how it's operating.
Well, the good part too is there's not too much coal dust anymore. Eventually.
Yeah.
I remember being around those plants, and boy, there was always some of that sticking on you. So any other questions? If not, I guess we can shut it down for this evening. Luke, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It's been very informative, and I love the photos. Did I misquote you? But how many acres you said? Did you say there was 5,000 acres of panels?
Yeah, it's just under 5,000 acres that we have for Sherco Solar 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. Wow, that's huge. I know there's one intersection at 494 and 35E that's 110 acres, and as an old farm kid, that always impresses me, but 5,000 is a lot.
Yeah.
So, well, that's good. Thank you again, and we'll be in touch, okay?
Sounds good, and I'll see a few of you guys here next Tuesday for the climate reality tour. Thanks for having me, and it was great. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah.
I will start the meeting at 7:30.
All right. All MRES members prepare for 7:30. Board members, I should say.
Mark, can you resend me a link to that, please? Or an old email or something. I was looking for an email and I just don't have one. So
Pat. Okay. Yeah, send me that, Pat.
Thank you.
Sure.
That was a good talk. I'm curious on how they got the new tariff on all those solar cells, that imported. Was it 3,500%?
Yeah.
On how that would affect. Because I know that one of the things they complained about was the Chinese companies setting up shop in Vietnam as just a transit point. As fact, they're complaining about it in Mexico now too. But the use of the Chinese cells with a 3,500% tariff is one way to kill this industry. That's for sure. I was disappointed they weren't actually using, Helene modules.
Yeah, I've asked them about that, but it's like, anyway, it's going to be interesting to see in the future if this American made is really going to work out for everybody.
Yeah, well, we're going back to a flat Earth society, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
I was surprised at 1.6 million panels. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, that would have been too bad it wasn't made in America.
Yeah. And it was good to hear that Blattner is involved with it. They've been one of the major people in our area between them and Mortensen.
Now, Blattner sold 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, they did.
I wonder if that had something to, maybe they, got the contract, good time to sell, but actually that one didn't somebody pass away to own the company or something? So, yeah. Well, it's the times are changing. I know that much.
Yep.
Talk to you
All
guys
right.
in a half hour. Bye.
Yep. See you then.